Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New York. This is season 14, episode 3. So let's get into it. So before we get into it, we gonna get a little spicy, just a little, and talk about these tax issues with Brynn. So it's looking like Brynn is getting slapped with a $30,000 tax lien. That's one part of the government you don't play with is the IRS, the federal level or the state level, because they always gonna come and get their money no matter what. But it was reported 2 days ago, this article about her being slapped with a tax lien. So I'm going to read it for you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts. The link will be in the description bar below if you would like to read the article for yourself. It's coming from The Sun. So it goes off like this. It says, money trouble, RHON's Brynn Whitfield slapped with a $30,000 in state and federal tax debt despite extravagant lifestyle on the show. Real Housewives of New York, Brynn Whitfield, has been slapped with $30,000 in tax debt and was once nearly evicted from her New York City apartment. A Los Angeles County clerk exclusively confirms to the U.S. Sun that the new Bravo celebrity has one open state lien in California, as well as one open federal state tax lien in the state. According to the records, Brynn Whitfield of the Real Housewives of New York owes approximately $30,000 in back taxes. Brynn was announced as a part of the all-new Real Housewives of New York cast during BravoCon last year. According to the records, the state of California filed a tax lien against Brynn in 2021 for the amount of $11,359. Additionally, the IRS filed a tax lien against the 36-year-old reality star in 2019 for $16,487,000. In the world of Real Housewives, flaunting wealth is the name of the game. Brynn has been no exception. The star posed in a recent cast photo in an opulent shirt made of what appears to be of pearls. She is also reportedly worth an estimated $3 million, according to the Daily Mail. Brynn is among the new faces of the fully revamped Real Housewives of New York Bravo series, following a season 13 shakeup. She is known for her career as a brand and marketing and communications professional. Brynn started her career in the late 2000s, following her graduation from Purdue University. So again, the link to this article will be below. But girl, just pay your taxes. Pay them people their money. Like I said, that is one department of the government you do not play with. Because the IRS going to always get their money. They going to always get their money. But she's going to be fine. Like, I feel like they said in the article, the name of the game is to flaunt your wealth. The same thing, the name of the game is to have tax issues when you're on Real Housewives of any of the series. Like, girl, the girls being the goal is not to go to jail like Teresa or Jen Shaw. Stay out the jail. Just pay them people their money and keep it pushing. But I don't think they needed to add that the lady almost got evicted from her apartment in New York. That was shady. But let's get into this. So the episode opens up and it's the next day after the whole lingerie situation. You got Jessel, Uba, Sai, and Aaron all at the house. Jenna decided to leave like a thief in the night and go back to her place. And the girls are kind of feeling some type of way about it. But before they get to that conversation, everybody is in Aaron's room because her room has heat. You have Jessel complaining because she's like, girl, my nipples are hard. I'm cold. It's freezing in here and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. At first, I thought Jessel was just like, girl, you've been complaining a lot. And I'm a complainer. I ain't even gonna lie. Everybody knows, like my friends know I complain. For the most part, I try to hold it in, but I got to really like, if I'm really annoyed, I'm complaining. And I own the fact that I'm a complainer. Okay. I own that. But I thought she was complaining a bit too much because, like, girl, you're not reading the room. They already kind of felt some type of way about the lingerie. But then Uba came in the room and was like, yeah, girl, it was cold. Like, I was trying to sleep with my extra coat on and everything. And Erin is overwhelmed because she's like, these girls complain all the time. On top of that, the heat went out. I call BS. I feel like that house didn't have heat as it is upstairs in those people's room. And then Yeah, and she just invited them because she wanted to show off her home. Possibly they might want to sell their home the same way her and her husband flipped that one home in the city and were able to buy this home in the Hamptons. But it's not making sense. Like, when did the heat go off? Because it's feeling like the heat was already, like, it was already cold already upstairs, and the girls were probably waiting for you to turn the heat on and you just never did. So it's feeling like the heat was already off and you just wanted them to see your house. Because the fact that the downstairs has heat but the upstairs doesn't, then you don't have Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi is shoddy, girl. But the girls are upset. They're all piling into Aaron's room and they're talking about Jenna leaving. I know people don't like Jessel right now because of her attitude, but I ain't gonna lie. When she said, well, Jenna probably wanted to see her ocean view. Like, she wanted to wake up and see an ocean view. And Aaron was like, are you trying to say my house isn't good enough because I don't have an ocean view? And she was like, no, like, she just probably wanted to see that. In my mind, I giggled. I cackled. Because at the end of the day, yes, Jenna's house is better if she has heat during the cold season and good Wi-Fi. I want to be at Jenna's house. Give me a couch. Give me a blanket. Like, I don't even have to sleep in a room. I feel like in my family, like, my family prides themselves like being good hostess, like everybody does. The women, the men, like everybody in my family, when they host parties, they really are concerned, especially because I'm my mom's child, because I have the same thing, about making sure the hospitality is key. I'm never inviting anyone to my house and there's something wrong with it. I'm not inviting people to my house and my Wi-Fi is messed up, because I know everyone wants the Wi-Fi code. I'm going to have good Wi-Fi. I'm also not inviting people to my house if I don't have AC for specific rooms that I know they're going to be sleeping in, or heat, and it's either the cold season or the hot season. Like, Erin just is a bad hostess. And you ain't had no food for them people. You didn't have no types of refreshments for them. And now the house is cold and your Wi-Fi is crappy. Get it together. But they're sitting in her room with the only room that got heat, because the main floor got heat, upset that Jenna left. We find out that Jenna tried to leave like a thief in the night and went back to her house and was there to take like 6:30 calls. They caught her leaving. The girls were having like a good time dancing around and stuff like that, being loud with the music. And Jenna, I think her people battery, like, she was peopled out, and she was just like, yeah, I'm leaving. I don't really want to be here right now. And the girls are like, don't leave. And she left anyway. So they kind of feel some type of way. So Jenna finally pops up and she comes in, and you can kind of tell like Aaron is really agitated and annoyed by Jenna. I feel like they doing too much, but she brings coffee for everybody. They're complaining about how they didn't get to have shashuka. Is it shashuka or shakshuka? Talking about how they didn't have that dish that they wanted to have because Jenna was like the one that didn't want to have it. Like, she was just like, no, and everyone else was like, yeah. But I got what Jenna was saying, like, who eats before working out? Like, normally people might have like a protein shake, or like what is it called? If it's not a protein shake, it's something that gets you like amped up to work out. I can't remember the name of it, but like, they don't have anything like heavy on their stomach. And I remember being in Spaces on Twitter, and somebody said shakshuka is like a tomatoey based kind of dish, and I don't think I would want to have that in my stomach as I'm doing jumping jacks and like high knees and crunches. I don't know about that. So I think Sai asked Jenna, like, how did you sleep last night? And she was like, not too good. There was a storm. So then Aaron was like, there wasn't no storm over here. And so then everyone's kind of like, they like piling on Jenna about her leaving. I didn't think it was that deep. Like, yeah, I can see it. Like, if we were having such a fun time and it's a girls' night and everyone's supposed to be staying, yeah, we would all want you to stay. But if you're going to leave. I do think it was lame of Jenna to like try to sneak out. Like, you should have just announced like, hey guys, I got a 6:30 call, because that's the reason she's using why she left. She had a few calls in the morning that she needed to make at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and she just probably wanted a good night's rest so she could be on the phone with them and be alert with whoever she was speaking to. And also, she was like, the girls were really loud partying, and her room, I guess, was right on underneath them. So she just didn't feel comfortable. I just think, like I said, she was peopled out and she was ready to go home. But I do think she should have just told them like, hey y'all, like, I'll be back. I'll sleep over tomorrow. But tonight I need to really go home and take this call. I don't want to ruin the fun. I want you guys to party until the sun comes up. But I need to have some me time and some alone time to get ready for this call. But them making a big deal about it was lame to me. Like, it was lame for Jenna to leave without really announcing that she was leaving, to try to like scurry away. And it was also lame to me that they were holding so harsh onto this, because to me, I think they view Jenna as like a big, cool older sister. And they're like, you know what? Someone pointed this out. Someone pointed out that Uba and Jessel are the only two that are not like ass kissing Jenna. It's more so coming out of like Aaron, Sai, and Brynn. And I don't know yet. I saw it and I was like, It kind of like, it piqued my, I'm gonna be looking out, because I kind of don't see it, but I kind of see it at the same time, because it's kind of giving the vibe of like the cool, like these are like sisters. Like, Jenna's the cool older sister. She's like the 16-year-old or 17-year-old with her car keys, and these like the other girls are like middle schoolers. They're like, oh my gosh, I want to be with my older sister. I want my older sister to come play with me, come do dress up, take me out with her and her cooler friends. Like, it's giving that kind of vibe. Ladies finally get to working out. We end up meeting David, who is the trainer. He's actually really handsome. And Uba thought so too. Because she saw David walk up in that house and she said, ooh, okay. And the thing that took me out is when he was like trying to do a handshake, she was like, well, you know, in my country, we hug. And so she hugs him. I said, girl, you trying to feel his body. And so the girls get to working out, and then Brynn finally shows up in her furrow with her baseball cap on and her Harvard hoodie and stuff. I was tickled because Brynn walked out and she was like, ain't nobody gonna greet me? No one's gonna say hey to me? And I remember Aaron say someone needs to let Brynn know that we're in the back, but maybe they didn't. So Brynn finally finds them. She sees David, and Brynn and David know each other because of Aaron. So he's hugging on her, and they're like hugging on each other. I think they said like, oh, I haven't seen you in like 2 years or something like that. And Jessel tells Uba, because they were working out together when Brynn walked up, and was like, I told you was gonna have competition. So Uba is looking at Jessel, and she walks over to David and she grabs David's arm like, we need to get back to working out. And Brynn is like, like, girl, I got competition. Because she was flirting hard with, well, I don't say hard. Well, no, she was flirting hard. She was really flirting with David as well. Even Jenna was like, Brynn just came out the womb being a flirt. Brynn just came out the room just being a flirt. And to me, I think flirting is kind of like a skill, because I know I don't think I'm good at flirting. I feel like I'm very awkward with it, but when I watch other people do it and they do it so effortlessly, I got to give you points for it, because I can't do it. So they end up going inside after everyone's done working out. They're drinking, like rehydrating. And we see on the side Jenna and Aaron talking. And Aaron pretty much telling Jenna like she felt some type of way about her leaving. She's like, I didn't like the fact that you left. Like, I was like, it offended me. Like, is my house not good enough for you? And blah, blah, blah. And so then she tells Jenna, like, next time tell me if you're uncomfortable, or tell me, like, I'm trying to be a good host, like, let me know. And Jenna receives it, and she apologizes for leaving early, and she didn't mean to offend her. Like, she was like, I didn't mean to offend you, but like, I'm sorry for that. And they move on. You then see Uba and Brynn in the kitchen talking while everyone else goes to their rooms to get ready for lunch. And Uba tells Brynn about like Jenna leaving, and Brynn is like, had that been me, like, it would have been over. Like, Erin would have not wanted me back in this house. She would have told me to, like, pack my stuff and go back to New York. So I'm sensing a double standard here, because I feel as though someone leaving your house without announcing it is a lot worse than someone not wanting to come hang out with you at a restaurant. So everybody gets ready. The girls actually look really cute in their khaki outfits. Jenna was like, this is what I meant when I said wear khaki. So clearly y'all had khaki in your closets. Like I said, Jenna, you needed to be a lot more descriptive in the attire you wanted them girls to wear. So they finally get to the restaurant. They're sitting down, and Brynn brings up how, like, you know, the best, no, they ask Uba, like, was she feeling David? And she's like, yes. She's like, he's African, like me. Like, he has a nice smile. He has a nice job. Like, I'm feeling the vibes. And then Brynn brings up, you know, if you really want to get a guy's attention, what you do is take really tasteful nudes of yourself, get kind of close to the person or the guy that you're interested in, but don't let them know that, like, that what you're doing, and then start scrolling through your phone looking at, like, your nudes, and definitely they'll want to talk to you. And Uba was like, girl, no. She was like, if a guy likes me because they saw my nudes, they're a pervert, and no. And so then that's when Uba says in her confessional, she's like, Jenna, no, Brynn has been married 3 times. Not married, engaged 3 times. Like, I'm sensing a pattern here, girl. Isn't it like, is like the saying goes, the way you get them is how you lose them? And I kind of agree. Like, leading with your body first, especially if you want a meaningful relationship, is not the way to go, in my opinion. Now, I know there's exceptions to the rules. Like, there's some people who can have sex on the first night and they're good. Like, these people have been together for years, like decades. And then there's other people that can do the same thing and then they don't know the person by the end of the month, you know? But I would think that if you wanted a meaningful relationship, you wouldn't start off with that. And Uba was like, you know, the way I introduce myself to guys is like, you know, I ask for directions. I smile, you know, my personality. So the conversation continues, and then Brynn ends up speaking up and feeling like, I kind of feel some type of way. I don't want to say something. She was like, I don't want to bring this up because I know it's going to be an issue, but I'm going to be honest. I feel some type of way. And they're like, what do you mean? And she was like, I heard Jenna left your house without speaking and went back to her place. And I got in trouble for not wanting to go, to a restaurant. And I know had it been me, you would have been livid. Oh, that's what happened. The girls end up getting up after the whole nudes in the phone conversation and going to the bathroom, and it's Jessel and Brynn still sitting at the table, and Brynn brings up about Jenna leaving, and Jessel even co-signs with Brynn, like, yeah, had you left, she probably would have told you to pitch a tent outside and not come in her house. And then Sai comes and sits down because she's like the first to come back from the bathroom, and they tell her what they're talking about, and she was like, yeah, it was whack that she left that way. So that's when Brynn brings it up, and she's like, I feel like there's a double standard, that Jenna is getting away with it because she's Jenna Lyons. And had it been me, it's like y'all would have been mad. And Aaron was like, well, maybe it's because I like Jenna more. And that kind of made everyone at the table like go, ooh. And she was like, well, Jenna immediately came up to me. We talked about it. We apologized. We squashed it. But with you didn't want to come to Catch with me. Oh, I don't think it's Catch, my bad. Whatever the name of the restaurant is. You didn't want to come to the restaurant with me. And then we didn't talk for like a week or so, like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I felt some type of way. And I feel like 2 things can be true. I feel like Aaron could possibly be getting over the fact that what Jenna did offended her because it's Jenna, because she's an icon, a legend, like the way they have said in this episode. But I also can agree with Aaron with being like, girl, we immediately talked it out and we good now. But I see it also from Brynn's point of view, where it's like, I feel like that's way more disrespectful to leave your house without without saying anything versus me just not wanting to go to a restaurant with you and your friends. But what a lot of people were saying was like this rift between Aaron and Bree is probably because of the situation that happened with the girl that's no longer a part of the show. I think her name is like Lizzie or something like that, because you know how people start to dig and get information. Aaron and Lizzie were like this on the show before she decided to step away from the show. So it's seeming like maybe Lizzie and Bree, not Bree. Is it Bree? I just lost her name. Brynn, my bad, y'all, brain fart. Brynn probably had issues and Aaron was the go-between. I don't know. But it's not that deep. But I can see where Brynn's feelings might be feeling some type of way, because it's like, I didn't think what we had was that deep, and you made it a big deal, so I'm gonna make this a big deal too. So they started to get on Jessel, and specifically about her complaining. Jessel ends up saying that, like, hey, you can't appease everybody. And then Sai and Aaron are like, coming from you, that says a lot, because you complain a lot. And me, I admit that I'm a complainer. I'm a complainer. I know that I complain. My friends tell me all the time, Leah be complaining. I do. And I admit it, and I hold on to it. I'm not as bad as I would say Jessel is, because I can read the room, but I'm going to complain if I want to complain. But Jessel was kind of like, I don't think I complained too bad. All I complained about was the Wi-Fi and it being cold in the house. And they were like, but the lingerie? She was like, all I said was the lingerie. I didn't like the lingerie. And they were like, no, girl, you said you look like a Christmas tree, and you was like driving it home. And maybe it's because I see it in a different way, as of being like someone who is normally the fat person or the big girl in the group. You can tell when somebody's shading you about your weight. And I feel like that's what Jessel already is feeling insecure about her body. And then to have Jenna give her this ugly, because it was ugly. I don't care where it was from. It was ugly. The ugly lingerie, but then you notice everybody else gets better versions or sexier versions of lingerie. You do start to be like, oh, so you don't like my body either, or you see the imperfections in my body too, because why would you give me this compared to everybody else? Because we're not going to lie, like, everybody else's outfit wasn't better than Jessel's. Like, Jenna gave Aaron a two-piece. She gave Sai that cute black outfit where she's worn it like twice with the mesh and the bodice and everything. And then Uba's was like that really nice, sleek kind of nightgown. And then you gave Jessel that, which looked like it came from Walmart, because we know Walmart sells lingerie. So I just feel as though I do, again, think Jessel was like driving it home and was beating a dead horse. But I also can understand someone's insecurities of being like, I'm the bigger person in the group. And especially if you're not secure with yourself, you will start to see, and people, like, sometimes it could be you overthinking it, but it also can be people shading you indirectly. And I feel like Jessel probably caught that as shade, in all honesty. I really think she probably caught it as shade and was like, oh, okay. But I thought it also was kind of funny that, like, she didn't apologize. She said, no, I can see your point. You're not wrong for feeling that way. But she didn't apologize, which I don't fault her for that. I mean, I do think she should apologize now that she understands what's going on. But if you're not sorry and you feel like you were justified, I mean, she did validate the lady's experience. She said, I can see where you're coming from that, but I'm not saying I'm sorry. But Jenna is just like, girl, just say sorry. But you can tell that Jenna ain't gonna ever buy anything from Jessel anymore, because she also said, I didn't like the outfit. Thank you for the gift, but I'll exchange it for something better. I said, Jessel, God. It's nighttime and everyone's getting ready for them to eat at the house. They're going to have a chef come and cook dinner for them. Everyone looked nice. Jenna looked really nice in the outfit, the black dress that Uba put her in. I thought it was cute. It gave me slumber party vibes, where you have Sai and Uba wanting to dress Jenna up. And she looked really nice. But she says the reason why she doesn't dress the way she used to back in the day is because she was dressing for the male gaze, like through the lens of men. But she was like, now that I, like, you know, I'm not like dating men and I don't have any, like, you know how they say decenter men, now that she has decentered men in her life, she dresses how she wants to dress and she feels a lot more free. So all the ladies come and sit down. Uba's body is amazing. She looks so beautiful in that lime green dress. But she sits down, the girls all sit down at the table. They thank Aaron for being a hostess, because they know that they can be a lot. And they start playing two truths and a lie. And they go around the table. We find out that Aaron slept with somebody in a senator's home. She ends up calling her husband, which I thought it was funny. She called her husband on the phone and was like, did I ever tell you that I slept with someone in the senator's office? And he was like, no, and you're on speakerphone and the kids are in the car. And she was like, bro, why wouldn't you tell me? Then I think, who was next? Sai was talking about how I think she likes to be choked out, but her lie was that she gives multiple like hand jobs at once or something like that. Then you had Uba saying that like she had sex in Central Park. Jenna's was that someone fell asleep on top of her while they were doing it. I would be mortified. That I would never tell nobody that. I would never tell anybody that. Who else? Jessel, Uba, Sai. Oh, Brynn's was we found out she had sex with a Saudi Arabian prince, and she likes to do reverse cowgirl a lot. And then you had Jessel saying that she stuck a popsicle up her you know what. And it was funny because a lot of people said they felt like she was exaggerating. But all I could think about is Sex Sent Me to the ER, the show that they used to show on TLC. And there was a story about this girl who got hypothermia in her you know what, in her hoo-ha, because her and her husband were like doing things. I think it was her husband or a boyfriend were doing things, and they had it up there too long, and she got hypothermia and made it worse by sitting in hot water. I don't think people know that. Anytime you're like anytime it is extremely cold outside, you're not supposed to immediately jump into hot water. It's supposed to be like a smooth transition into warm temperatures. Doing that will like exacerbate the situation. So I believe she did it. Because people go to, and then Uba ends up bringing up an article about doctors saying don't do it. So people do it. So I think she did it. And then you hear Aaron ask her on the side while everyone's discussing it, like, did you do that with your husband? And she was like, negative. That was with somebody else. So I don't know. Maybe Jessel is a freak on the low. She's just not freaky with her husband. I don't know. I think she should have never told the ladies that her and her husband haven't been intimate like in 2 years, because now the narrative is going to be that like she's in a loveless marriage and that she possibly out here in the streets getting it from somebody else, because I already saw people saying that online. And then the clip for the next episode where her husband is like, you do kind of talk very, you kind of mean, girl. They're gonna start painting Jessel as the villain in her marriage. That is what's gonna start happening, all because of she set the stage for it. So they're all having a good time laughing. I thought it was funny when they did the popsicle thing. The chef and his sous chef was like, what are y'all talking about? So the girls all get undressed and put on their like, lounging clothes and go outside by the fire pit. They were struggling trying to get that fire pit together. Brynn was telling them not to light it with a match which I was with her. Sai was talking about, we need a match to light the propane tank. I said, do you want to blow up? Do you want to blow up? Because Brynn was like, you're going to mess up your face. That's your moneymaker. So Brynn ends up getting them drinks. She was struggling with the refrigerator. I probably would too, because it's the refrigerator that doesn't have handles. So I guess it's probably like that push to open. And they're all sitting outside. They're drinking, and they got those Dollar Tree cups that are like $1.50 or $1. Now the Dollar Tree is like $1.25, where it's like you put your drink inside and the built-in straw is there. And she was like, oh, I got these from the dollar store. And then you hear how out of touch. Well, I won't say how out of touch. I will say how privileged Jenna and Aaron are about loving going to the dollar store. I love to go to the dollar store too. Get your cleaning supplies real cheap and stuff like that. But Sai was like, I hate the dollar store. And they were talking about, oh my God, the dollar store is so much fun. It's fun when you know that that's not where you have to get meals from or like daily things that like you need. Like it's fun when it's an option. It's not fun when that's all you can afford. And that's what Sai was trying to explain to them, because she was just like, no, I hate the dollar store. And she brought up how her dad would get like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree kind of thing, where it was like a tiny little Christmas tree, and it was the ones that already have the ornaments on it, and he would lay their presents on top of a boom box because that's where the Christmas tree was. And they were like, oh my God, that's so cute. And she's like, no, it's not cute when everybody else has a 6-foot Christmas tree and a bunch of toys. And then Sai ends up letting us know more about her backstory, about how she moved around a lot. Her family was always moving. She was born in LA. Her dad didn't live with them. I guess he lived in Florida at the time, but then they moved to New York. They were moving around. It kind of sounded like they were, I don't think, in the army. It's giving that because I'm an army brat, but she was like every so often they move, like almost every few months, and I know that feeling. And she was like, I was always the new kid. Like, I got bullied. And then she said at the age of 16, that's when she started, like, she was on her own. And they were like, where were your parents? And she was just like, my mom didn't have the means to take care of me. Like, she was renting an apartment, a room out of an apartment. There wasn't room for me. So me and a high school friend moved in together. I was working at Sears. And then I forget that Sai is like in her 40s. So around the time when she was 16, that would probably be like in the 80s. Yeah, the 80s and like maybe the late 90s, no, early 90s. So money back then, I mean, it was still costly, but not the same as it is now. Because I was just like, how on a Sears salary were you able to live on your own or live by yourself? Like, not by yourself, but with a roommate, but I guess a roommate. She talked about going to college and having to drop out at junior year because she didn't have the funds. And she also was like homeless during that time because, she had no money and she couldn't get any loans out anymore. And so her friends were allowing her to live in the dorms with them by way of like her lying and be like, oh, I left my ID. And they would let her in the building. But she was like, I think eventually people caught on but realized that I was like homeless, so they didn't care anymore. So learning that about Sai, it kind of gives more... It gives more to her backstory, and it also explains why she is so extravagant in a sense because, having those 6 bags of luggage to take to the Hamptons for 3 days, I think in her mind, it's like, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it, as extravagant as it wants to be, And they were all like, wow, because then Brynn lets us in on her life, and she kind of has a similar upbringing where like her parents didn't take care of her, neither her mom or her dad, but her grandmother did. And they had kind of rough times too, where she was talking about looking in catalogs and dreaming about how her life would be if she could afford the things that she really wanted. And Sai was like, I believe in manifestation. I daydream. But I think manifestation is the same thing, like that saying in the Bible, faith without work is dead. Like, you can have faith that things are going to happen. You can dream and daydream about it, but if you don't put actions or have a plan to make it move forward, it's like that. I think it's a quote by Denzel Washington where he was like, a dream will always be a dream. I think it was like, a dream will stay a dream without work, but it turns into a goal when you apply work. I think that's the saying. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong. I feel like Denzel said that. I feel like I was watching one of them like YouTube clip, not a YouTube, but like a TikTok clip, and it came across. But it was something about how like pretty much if you don't put work behind your dreams, that's all they are. They're dreams. They don't become, I think it becomes a goal once you work towards it or something like that. But I thought that was a nice like scene of them bonding. And I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen next episode because we are starting to get into Uba's life and I want to know more about her. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.